يا إيش شي بي بقدر وان أشلا أشلا أيش نزن شيني هاي دو بيت لو توصلنا نزن grids أشلا ناكي.
They were considered the secret weapon of World War II, the Navajo Code Talkers, a small group of 400 Native Americans who spoke a language no one could crack.
Arizona,
to the Japanese, it was like speaking underwater, and it was impossible to encrypt by the Japanese themselves.
Staff Sergeant Ronaldo Jumbo holds this history close to his heart. The Code Talkers were his people, and his grandfather was one of them.
Artillery, code word.
It was plain and simple with the Navajo Code Talkers themselves. They had one mission, that was one mission only.
In code, Private Whitehorse.
To send and receive messages secretly.
Marines called upon the Navajo after Pearl Harbor. You see, the Japanese had learned other Native American languages, but the Navajo tongue was so difficult to understand, it became the perfect weapon.
Our people back at home, we grew up using, pitchforks, using our hands, washing our clothes by hand.
This was totally foreign.
This is totally foreign to our people back then.
So, to familiarize themselves with Western war, the Code Talkers went through boot camp at MCRD and then basic training at Camp Elliott. This is Camp Elliott. It's now called East Miramar, but the Marines still train here, just like they did 70 years ago. The Code Talkers sent thousands of messages from 1942 to 1945 using phones like this one, warning troops about the enemy and relaying critical tactical details. Historians credit the Navajo for the victory at Iwo Jima and re-energizing Allied forces.
In my eyes, that changed the war.
Up 50! Fire forward back!
They were at the pivotal moment of when the U.S. needed our help. Regardless of the facts of what happened in our history, we still stood up and stood up for our country.
A country that is still using the skills of the Navajo during wartime.
We're proud of our heritage, and that's what we stand for. The Navajo Code Talkers themselves, set a really good example for those of us who are in the military as well.
Somewhere, a child hears the sound of a train.
That sound was heard again, for the first time in more than 50 years. Hundreds of faithful fans lining the tracks, even slowing traffic on the interstate, all to catch a glimpse of a piece of the past, roaring through the present.
I'm thinking about to see the engine.
I think you are too.
From Los Angeles Union Station to San Diego and back, young and old alike staring in awe, shadowing the locomotive on its journey.
Definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
That's exciting to see the steam. Yeah. It's an era that's long gone.
Being in here is like stepping into a time machine and going back to the 1940s. Looking around, you see all kinds of antique gauges, steel levers and knobs, the firebox, along with one or two modern upgrades. It was no different in here 70 years ago as this beautiful locomotive ran down the road, smoke billowing from her stack across the horizon. Santa Fe 3751 is completely rebuilt and is running on reclaimed motor oil and water. The huffing and puffing sounds proof of a machine eating, drinking, and breathing.
It's an incredible piece of machinery to watch it operate. It's alive. There's everything happening on it. It's not like watching a box go down the rails. I mean, this thing's alive. It's doing things.
I've been a railroad fan for 80 years.
Ben Bellman sits with his wife, gazing down the track, waiting for a moment that doesn't let him down.
I think this is one of the most beautiful engines I have ever seen. But we waited 3.5 hours in Leucadia to see it go by, and it was worth every minute of it, every second of it.
Steam once blew through the Coachella Valley. It was built by the railroad, a vital force in the local economy.
But one of the early memories, too, was hearing the trains. You could hear them go for miles. You'd hear the whistles, the trains coming through. And at night, particularly.
Connie Cowan is with the Coachella Valley Historical Society in Indio. From the 1800s to the 1950s, Indio was an important crew depot and watering stop.
I can remember the engines being filled with water, the big water tanks, and the big arm would come across and the water would fill in the tanks.
Today, all that remains in Indio is the ghost of an engine house that was once full of life. Sunday's round trip sold out, bringing hope that the steam engine won't fade into the pages of history.
They'd never forget it. It'd be one of those things they take through their whole life.
Fear is a very basic human emotion. Let's say today we go up there and it flies off. Then what happens?
Some call skydiving the ultimate rush, but for others, it can be terrifying.
I had one girl curl up in the fetal position and she was praying. She was looking at us saying, please make it stop, please make it stop. I've had people just go completely berserk like a cat in water, just clawing, their brain just goes.
Welcome to my fear of heights, something that I've struggled with my entire life, now something I hope to overcome while 13,000 feet above sea level. But before we're even up there and we jump out of this perfectly good plane, we first have to learn how to face our fears. To do that, I decided to take on my fears while still on the ground at the Big Dipper roller coaster here in San Diego.
The roller coaster is a symbol. It's not really the roller coaster you're afraid of because you know the roller coaster isn't going to hurt you.
Dr. Richard Levack is an expert who tells me that my fears are common and come from past experiences.
You're afraid of heights, of skydiving, of roller coasters because when you were a little boy, you were terrified and no one soothed you. And you keep wanting to avoid that panic.
Together, we get on the coaster. Yeah, my heart is pounding, and he tells me some simple tips on how to stay calm in these types of situations. First, remember that fear is common. Remember to breathe and try to visualize the event, keeping in mind it's all supposed to be fun.
Every time you get that feeling that the earth is dropping beneath you, I want you to think of it as exciting,
Okay.
as fun.
Okay.
Let's go do it.
Okay.
It's about 9 o'clock. It's the night before. Supposedly we're still jumping tomorrow. So I'm trying to think about everything that the doctor told me and what to do and trying to visualize. Hopefully it helps. I'm really nervous every time I think about it, but we'll see what happens.
Get him, Jay.
Hey, crouch, and connecting up with the wing. You ready? Set, arch, with your belly flop out of the airplane. We're going to look exactly like this in free fall. Head up, hands up, knees up, and toes up, alright?
You do that, everything will probably be okay.
Probably. You're ready.
We have an expert jumper in the making. Showtime.
No turning back now, right?
war and somebody's going to get killed. Somebody's going to get wounded, some get blinded. Second time I was wounded, the bullet went through my right buttock and up into my stomach. I got another one across here and one across up in here. Everything was getting black. And then I said, what the hell am I giving up this easy for? And I started shaking my head, trying to clear the blackness. I gave myself a shot of morphine to kill the pain. O'Loughlin came out there and dragged me in the cellar. My name is Otis L. Sampson. I was in the 82nd Airborne Division. I made 4 combat jumps: Sicily, Italy, Normandy, and Holland. And this is my story.
The 82nd, having captured Saint-Mère-Église and secured the bridgehead across the Mer, destroyed other river crossings, protected the flank of the 7th Army Corps, and drove west to the Douve River.
I used to be in the Horse Cavalry in 1930. And when Pearl Harbor was bombed, then I wanted to get right back in the service. And then I see a little ad in the paper, join the paratroopers. And that's what I wanted. It was a new way of warfare. And I figured that I was made for it. The boys, they couldn't wait to get into action. Took off, we flew low, crossed the islands, came into Normandy, and I looked down. They were shooting all right. I jumped pretty high, and the wind was blowing pretty strong to my back. And I tried to drop for a hedgerow that cut across. I tried to drop down there, and I landed just in the bottom of the trees. Over Saint-Mère-Église, they got quite a few of our boys, because we landed right among the Germans. Some got shot coming down, and others got shot in the trees, because they was all tangled up in them, you know. You're just hoping you hit the ground and get fighting. You never worried about getting hit. You didn't have time, let's put it that way. We got organized, I put out a position, so we went into Saint-Mère-Église. And that's where I saw so many of the boys hanging in trees where they'd been killed. Well, the position I was put, I had the top of me and to the left of me to protect with 7 men. And all these Germans came in, I thought sure I'd never see daylight again. But they never crossed the hedgerow. Then the night came on, the Germans came in on us, and then they withdrew and left us to their artillery. And the rest of the night, that's what we was up against. Morning came, and we went down to Neuville-Plain, withdrew this lieutenant. He had lost 12 of his men, and he pretty well wiped out. The Germans were surrounding him. And we came in there just in time to catch the Germans that were surrounding him, and we made a mess out of them. We withdrew with what he had left back to Saint-Mère-Église. The Germans seemed to be all around the place. We came in and made the attack on them. They tried to get out from under the shells that I was landing. Then they tried to find a way away, and where they went, I brought the mortar and play there and got them. And we wiped out a battalion of them. Then when the ammunition was all gone, I had my Tommy gun. And the killing was so easy. I had 3 or 4 Germans in my sight. And my fingers came to a complete stop. I just couldn't kill anymore. They was about ready to attack us, and they wasn't ready. So we caught them off balance and wiped out that battalion. All those boys that got killed there, they'd never see them anymore. And then just before they buried them, they tried to get all the paratroopers together to show how many we had. And the dead were there too. That was a sad moment to see all those boys laid out there. It was just a short time before they'd been alive. It gave us something to fight for. Well, it was a long day from the time of daybreak until nightfall. Many towns were taken and lost, and many men were killed. We made a big showing in Normandy. Each outfit had their battles. The beach and the fighter planes, tanks, Each had his job to do. We had ours. 25 years after the war, I made the trip, looking over the battlefields and like that, and finding them again, and what happened here and what happened there. But it's kind of hard to say just how you did feel. It was nice to be with the boys again. I guess I can look at it that way. Think of the many people died for the freedom we have today. Freedom will never come cheap.
Lucas Rosales says soccer is life. He's only 11 years old, and Lucas has overcome a lot of obstacles in his young life, some you could hardly imagine. But the world's most popular sport gave him the confidence to succeed on and off the field. Lucas was born without most of his left arm. The disability, however, has not been an obstacle or affected his coordination. He's considered one of the best players in the Coachella Valley. Lucas fell in love with the game after his father, Octavio, took him to a Chivas USA match in Carson, California. Immediately, Lucas asked his parents to sign him up in a local team.
My wife had concerns for my son, but just like any other mother that loves her son would have. As a father, I thought that, why not? At some point he had to face social issues.
Although his family hesitated because of his condition, there was no turning back.
Wanted to start playing soccer and to live my dream.
When we asked him about being born with one arm, Lucas says he can do it all.
It hasn't been that difficult, having one arm. I've learned over the years, my mom and dad, myself, to brush my teeth, comb my hair, put on my shirt on, tie my shoe, and even play games.
Lucas not only overcame playing without his arm, but overcame criticism and belittlement, one goal at a time.
I've always been involved in competition. I always experience kids with saying stuff, but I like to prove to them that I am better than them and I have the better skill than them on the field. I never actually wish I could have another arm. I love the way I am. I love the way I look. I love the image that God gave me.
After being a devoted Chivas USA fan, Lucas finally got a chance to meet one of his favorite players at the Home Depot Center. Oh. Lucas and his family met Major League Soccer star Jonathan Bornstein. Both talked about some of their same interest.
It's his grumpy grandpa, man.
That's all right. Everyone needs one of those,
And showed off some of their skills.
11. I don't think I could juggle this good at 11. I would be all over the place.
The young scoring forward even went toe-to-toe with a Southern California native.
Oh! Oh, good D.
Meeting Jonathan Bornstein was exciting because I really relate to him.
They always say, adversity builds character, and overcoming obstacles is what really makes you like a strong person, both inside and out. And so, I think he's done a really good job so far in his life of overcoming those obstacles that have been thrown his way. So, I think if he's done well so far, I think he's got a good head start on life.
As Lucas continues to perfect his game, he hopes to one day wear the red, white, and blue.
Play in the Home Depot Center and hopefully even play with the U.S. national team with Jonathan Bornstein.
Cesar Rodriguez, News Channel 3 HD.